The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Lord, be with you, Lord.
Since the Passover of the Jews was near, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He found in the temple area those who sold oxen, sheep, and doves, as well as money changers seated there. He made a whip out of cords and drove them all out of the temple area with the sheep and oxen, and spilled the coins of the money changers, and overturned their tables. And to those who sold doves, he said, "Take these out of here, and stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples recalled the words of Scripture, zeal for your house will consume me. At this, the Jews answered and said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking about the temple of his body. Therefore, when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they came to believe the Scripture and the word Jesus had spoken. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Towns in our country, like Newmarket, know a certain measure of prosperity. It's due to the fact that we live in a town where there are residences, where people live. We live in a place where there are churches, where people pray. We live where there are businesses, where people have work. And we have government services that are provided for those who live here. It was true in the ancient world, where these kinds of institutions afforded a certain measure of prosperity and peace. We have comfortable, safe places to live. We've got places to pray. We've got places where we can work for others, and places where people work for us. In the ancient world, the temple in Jerusalem was recognized as the primary place where prosperity and peace would be experienced. And we portray a stream of water that flows from the temple out to the countryside, providing food and medicine for the people. And what that represents is our graces and blessings that are flowing out into God's family. As people came to the temple to pray, they prayed for food and shelter, for good jobs, good health. There were these graces that were being poured out. People realized the Creator God was looking out for people in response to their prayers. Jesus was well aware that the temple would not last forever. The original temple had hundreds of years before been destroyed. And he saw the signs that this one would probably not last too much longer. And indeed, 40 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus, the temple of Jerusalem was completely destroyed. Where would people gather together in order to pray for prosperity and peace? Because the temple was where sacrifices were offered, where prayers were made, where people's faith got expressed. And Jesus comes and does something that is completely new. There's no film that's been made of Jesus that has excluded this dramatic scene that we've just heard retold in the Scriptures today. The sweet and gentle Jesus that we might be accustomed to isn't sweet and gentle anymore. He's tough. And he's coming with a whip made of cords to drive away the oxen and the sheep. He throws down change the money on the tables and overturns the money changer's table. He tells them this is the place not for engaging in market and business practices. This is the place of prayer. And the setting is set for Jesus to get arrested and to be tried and to be killed. You see, the people who ran the temple, they owned the herds of oxen and the flocks of sheep that were sold and slaughtered to be offered in sacrifice in the temple. Besides that, they hired money changers in order to do the necessary exchanges of money. It was a banking practice that brought them a significant profit. And what Jesus was doing, he was threatening the source of income, and he was upsetting the livelihood of people who ran the show. So that in the end, Jesus was killed, and in part, it was all about money. And Jesus promises that in 3 days, this temple will be raised. And what the new thing that Jesus comes to do is that he comes to say that the foundation of a place of faith is going to be a relationship with him. And the scriptures make clear that we are the temple built on the foundation of Jesus Christ because we're in relationship with him. And this temple is where the Spirit dwells. This temple that we form is where the Spirit works. This temple that is formed where 2 or 3 gather in his name is where the Spirit prays. The kind of things we continue to live for, to pray for, to work for, is that we'll have work that provides for our livelihood. We'll continue to have government services that provide schools and postal services, the building of sidewalks, the maintenance of roads, the firefighters and police who help to protect us. And we continue to offer our prayers to the God of all creation when we gather together as the temple of the Lord with the Spirit praying for us when we sometimes don't even know what to pray for. That there'll be healing, there'll be pardon and peace, and that there'll be freedom that we come to experience anew in each day of our lives.